My beauties, my queens. I cannot tell you guys how much I missed my lovely ladies on The View during their holiday sabbatical. My yentas, they returned from vacation this week looking better than ever. The lights in the studio were literally shining off of all that renewed plastic. The days tend to go by slower when we're not being blessed with the wonderful boodle breeze courtesy of the whoopee cushion. The days are a bit darker when we don't get to experience the radiance of the beautiful sun hosting, or as our friends like to call her, Asuncion. The laughter tends to decrease when we don't get to see the shoulders of Big Red Joy Behar balance that Superdome. But don't you worry, Alyssa Farah Griffin, KC could never forget about AFG. AFG, the great pretender. Damn, did she put on a show this morning. For some reason, perhaps in a last-ditch effort to convince at least one person to vote for him in the Republican primary, Chris Christie, he agreed to appear on The View this morning. Governor, I guess your staff didn't tell you this. Appearing on The View, it is highly unlikely to convince normal people to vote for you because normal people do not watch this show. If you're looking for the vote of lonely women, The View is the place to be. If you're in the mood to smell toxic mouth farts, head on over to The View. But if you are looking to reach normal people, Chris Christie, you would have been better off standing next to the bums holding a vote for the Pepperidge Farm guy on the side of a busy intersection. But perhaps reaching normal people wasn't the primary goal for Chris Christie this morning on The View. My inside sources tell me, producers, they offered him the supersized bag of Purina. You know, the bag that will feed your Rottweiler for an entire month. Chris Christie, he was able to finish off that bag before breakfast. But all kidding aside though, I was actually very impressed with Chris Christie this morning on The View. Matter of fact, there have been several moments throughout this campaign where I find myself liking Chris Christie. He can be a funny guy. He can be very entertaining. Hell, unlike so-called comedians like Jim Kimmel, Chris Christie actually has the ability to make me laugh. The problem is, I don't know shit about his policies. And it's not because I'm not paying attention. Seems like every time I see Chris Christie on television, the only thing he's talking about is the object of his obsession. Well, KC's he talking about dinner? No, he's talking about Donald Trump. Orange Man bad. Although he did discuss some policy with the yentas this morning, the primary topic of conversation centered around the Trumper. Now, as you guys know, all of our plastic princesses on The View, they have been diagnosed with a stage 4 case of OMB. Orange Man bad. The beauty with the most severe case is none other than the great pretender, Alyssa Farah Griffin. Or at least, she is pretending to have a severe case of OMB. AFG has mastered the art of pretending so well, it's hard to tell whether she is being real or playing make-believe. But like I said earlier, Chris Christie, he appeared on The View this morning hoping to convince at least one person to vote for him. That way his count would go from 0 to 1. The conversation started with Alyssa Farah Griffin repeating the latest woke talking point. Oh, democracy. We need to save our democracy. I am so concerned about our democracy. Yeah, that's great, Alyssa, but we have a republic, or at least we used to. AFG was making the point that if Chris Christie really cared about our so-called democracy, he would drop out of the race and throw his weight behind Nikki Haley. As you guys know, that is a hell of a lot of weight. In fact, it's so much weight that Alyssa Farah Griffin believes if Chris Christie contributed his weight to the campaign of St. Nick, she would have an outstanding chance of defeating the Trumper in something called New Hampshire. Now, obviously, Chris Christie was appalled by this suggestion, and who can blame him? Who in the fuck wants to vote for Nikki Haley? If the only two candidates on the ballot were St. Nick and Corpus Christi, I would just write in my vote for Fido, the crime-fighting dog. I wouldn't vote for either one of them. Chris Christie let AFG know how insulting her suggestion was, not only to himself, but to the handful of people who lied when they said they would vote for him. Watch for yourself.
The latest polling has you beating her, has you at a margin that if all of your support went to Nikki Haley would put her over Trump in New Hampshire. Wouldn't that still be a better gambit for democracy to have Nikki Haley as the nominee?
And how insulting to my voters that you would think that they would immediately just waltz over to Nikki Haley, even though Nikki Haley's called Donald Trump the right president for the right time.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Even though she has said chaos and drama follow him wherever he go. That's like an arsonist saying, for some reason, burning buildings follow me wherever I go.
I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that arson line was a great line by Chris Christie. I also enjoyed watching Alyssa Farah Griffin do something that I don't think she's ever done before. Stop talking. She had no response from the scolding by Chris Christie. I'm actually surprised that one of the other yentas didn't come to her defense, accuse Chris Christie of mansplaining. But since AFG is pretending to be conservative, her colleagues, they think she's the enemy. Alyssa Griffin, she is one of many in conservative media who are publicly supporting Nikki Haley. Now, maybe she sees something in Nikki Haley that I don't see, or maybe she is supporting St. Nick because she sees exactly what I see, but AFG actually likes it. Well-rehearsed talking points, painfully boring rhetoric, alleged corruption. Now, of course, St. Nick can only fool young children with this alleged corruption, convincing them that she has this ability to visit every house on Christmas Eve and leave them toys overnight that they didn't ask for. I'm going to give you fair warning here. The next clip I'm going to share with you, the symptoms of OMB are severely high. The conversation continued about Donald Trump. At one point, Son Hostin began having convulsions. Take him out. We must take him out to save our democracy. The whoopee cushion, which spent the last 2 weeks accepting toxic air from the compressor, her OMB symptoms were so out of control, she actually endorsed Chris Christie. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. One of the yentas on The View violated one of the woke commandments. They are not allowed to endorse anyone unless they are choosing to identify as John Biden or Nick Haley. Watch it for yourself.
There is a constitution and there's precedent, and he needs to be taken out by the
Constitution. I understand.
The law applies to him like it applies to every single person.
It absolutely should. But question I was asked was why I said what I said. And I'm trying to be practical about this, Sonny. If in fact we take him off the ballot and he doesn't have a chance to run, I think it's going to cause conflict in this country well beyond what we have now. Elections in a democracy are supposed to resolve conflict. So let's resolve the conflict. Let's defeat him. And this is my problem with Nikki Haley. She doesn't want to take him on directly.
Governor, what happens if this happens after the election
or after
and he's sitting in the Oval Office?
Well, it's two different problems, right? If it happens after the convention, that's a Republican Party problem. Because,
but will we do anything? I'm not convinced.
Well, I don't know, but I think he will be soundly defeated then.
What happens if he's in the Oval Office?
Well, if he's in the Oval Office, he's going to direct his Attorney General to dismiss the charges.
Then why not take him out now under the Constitution?
Well, because...
For the political reason he just said.
Sonny,
it makes him a martyr.
Because, Sonny, it makes him a martyr, and I think it makes him more likely than not to continue to foment division and discord in this country.
Well, I want you to beat him, but I don't think he
should
have...
Clip that, would you please? Clip that.
I want... Before you clip it, I said I want him to beat you-know-who.
That's right.
Not Joe Biden.
I'll just take that.
Let's just be clear. Listen, I will take
that for the moment.
I want somebody who gives a damn about the country, man.
First of all, I do want to give Chris Christie some credit here. I know the lovely ladies of The View are suffering with OMB, but there is not a person that was sitting at that table that hates Donald Trump more than Chris Christie. Even though he has a severe hatred for the orange man, Chris Christie doesn't support removing him from the ballot. Now, of course, Son Hostin supports it. We need to use the Constitution to remove them. Yeah, Son, I don't remember that amendment in the Constitution. And what happened to your concern about democracy? Someone please explain to me how it's democratic to remove a presidential candidate from the ballot without cause. Matter of fact, since Son claims to moonlight as a lawyer when she's not using her radiance to light the earth, why don't you explain to me how it's legal to remove Donald Trump from the presidential ballot? As you heard in the clip, Sun Hostin was questioning what would happen if Donald Trump's trial wasn't decided until after the Republican primary. Chris Christie responded with, well, that will be a Republican problem. I guess he's referring to Ronald McDonald and the RNC. Alyssa Farah Griffin then asked, will we do anything about it? I thought that was extremely telling. The Republican Party is no longer the party of normal people. Hell, neither party really represents us. If Ronald McDonald actually cared what normal people want, Vivek Ramaswamy would be included in debates. It's clear at this point that the RNC, the establishment media, they want to see Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley as the nominee. Sorry, Chris Christie, you're just like the rest of us. You don't matter to them. Towards the end of the clip, though, the whoopee cushion had a severe convulsion and accidentally endorsed Chris Christie. For some reason, he actually asked producers to clip that soundbite so he could share it with potential voters. If I were Chris Christie, I would have been begging them for the 7-second delay. Please, please do not let that endorsement slip through the censors. I can't have the whoopee cushion endorsing me. No one will vote for me. Yeah, I hate to tell you, Chris Christie, but no one's voting for you anyway. Whoopi Goldberg claimed that she is voting for John Biden because she wants someone to be president who really cares about the country. Since when has John Biden cared about the country? I mean, he cares about traveling the country. Hell, he spent 17 weeks last year on vacation traveling throughout the country, mainly in Delaware. Now, I didn't always agree with Trump, but it just seemed like the country was in a better place when he was running it. Before the plague magically appeared, gas prices were low. We were drilling domestically for oil. You could go to the grocery store, spend a couple of $100, have a cart full of groceries. Today, if you spend $200 at the grocery store, you barely fill the handheld basket. When Trump was in office, we weren't involved in foreign conflicts that have absolutely nothing to do with us. We weren't embarrassed on the global stage by pulling out of Afghanistan faster than a dude with 19 kids pulls out of his one-night stand. If I remember correctly, black unemployment was at record lows under Donald Trump. But yeah, John Biden is the one who cares about the country. You gotta ask yourself, why are they so afraid of him? Why are they so afraid of him to the point where they are trying to remove him from the ballot? In some states, they're removing him from the ballot. They're not afraid of Ron DeSantis. They're not afraid of Nikki Haley, but they are terrified of Donald Trump. And to a lesser extent, they're also scared of Vivek Ramaswamy. Why? Maybe, just maybe, they are the only ones willing to stand in the way of their agenda. That's the only reason I can think of. I have never seen this much chaos with a presidential election. This election and the last election, they have been absolute disasters. They are doing everything in their power to ensure that Donald Trump does not get elected. Now, I don't agree with Donald Trump skipping these debates. Now that the field has dwindled down, I think it's time that he actually starts to show up. But I understand why he doesn't. He knows he's not going to get fair treatment. The media will do everything they can to make Ronnie and Nikki look better. But give me your thoughts on this. Chris Christie appears on The View, scolds Alyssa Farah Griffin. He then proudly accepts the endorsement of Whoopi Goldberg, which pretty much guarantees not a single normal person will be voting for Chris Christie. Let me know what you thought of his appearance on The View. Also, why are they hell-bent on keeping Donald Trump off the ballot? You give me your reason. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.